So we're going to be talking about atheromatosis aortae, and this is to do with atherosclerotic plaque formation on the actual kind of like the layer of the aorta. The aorta is one of the biggest blood vessels found, if not the biggest, and so when we get an atherosclerotic plaque formation on the aorta, it can be due to a number of reasons and can have a number of different complications as well. And it's not always smooth sailing. It has some serious complications. Now, the etiology of atheromatosis aortae, this atheroma, the meaning of atheroma is kind of like an atherosclerotic plaque. And I'll go into detail about what that actually is. And here we have etiologies that include smoking, hyperlipidemia, which is a high lipid diet and therefore high lipid distributed in the body and in the blood, diabetes mellitus, arterial hypertension. So those are the key reasons why somebody might get an atheroma or an atherosclerosis. And its pathogenesis, it really, after you have a state of hyperlipidemia or smoking for a long time, what happens is that cholesterol is kind of like an accumulation. So this would come under pathology, which is to do with accumulations. And cholesterol actually damages endothelium. And in the case of atheromatosis aortae, when this is the aorta, what is happening is that as soon as the cholesterol kind of deposits, and in this case, as soon as it deposits onto the endothelium and then to the subendothelium, and subendothelium, it will start to cause damage. And as it will damage, it will cause the inflammatory process to initiate. And inflammatory process will initiate, and it will try and heal all of the damage that the cholesterol is doing. And as it tries to heal this damage, it will do this by depositing collagen. So collagen will start to be deposited. Collagen this is all part of kind of the healing response. And after collagen is deposited, we have something called fibrosis occurring, which is kind of like the end stage after collagen and connective tissue is deposited. And actually, the formation of an atherosclerotic plaque can be divided into these three phases: early proliferative phase, progressive phase, and late ulcerative phase. And it can be called lesion progression. Now, it sounds complicated. It isn't. It's very simple. What's actually happening? Well, after the cholesterol has deposited specifically into the subendothelium, is where the cholesterol will have deposited. After it deposits there, the cholesterol will form this fatty streak. This fatty streak is key to remember when it comes to the histopathology of atheromatosis aortae. First, it will form a fatty streak. Once it forms a fatty streak, then only will after the collagen starts to deposit, that's what kind of turns it into a plaque. And here you can see it becoming more and more 3D and it forming kind of that plaque. And then this is known as the late ulcerative phase. This is the early proliferative phase, the progressive phase, and the late ulcerative phase. And so essentially what makes a plaque is that after you have kind of these pale yellow fatty streaks, then you have this raised yellow plaques. And here, finally, you have these raised, irregular, rough, ulcerative plaques. So here you have these rough, ulcerative plaques. And one thing that we forgot to mention is that after this fibrosis occurs, then you can also get a fibrous cap. And that kind of wraps up what exactly an atherosclerotic plaque is and what it involves. Now, when we really go into the anatomy of the atherosclerotic plaque, you have to be aware of kind of the layers themselves of the aorta. And you have to be aware that you have your tunica intima, and wherever you have your kind of lumen, above here is your lumen, and then beneath the lumen you have your tunica intima, and then you have this intimal thickening. This becomes thicker and thicker, and then here you have your media, and often what you'll find in the tunica media is these elastic laminae dispersed throughout the tunica media, which are necessary for its function as a blood vessel and to push that blood out. And then you have the adventitia. So more in the part 2.